We can spin a wheel here and pick an issue. So the first issue I would like to address is the Sixers with an effort last night. I gave an effort last night. I saw somebody, boy, you got to really laud the Sixer effort, and to which I replied, dude. But there was an effort last night with the Sixers against the Knicks, and they wound up losing the game anyway. It was a cover for the Sixers. Like I told Bill, the Sixers were going to cover that game last night. Well, in any event, Paul George has a night. And this was his first game in action after he announced that he is not going to participate in his podcast for the time being because he wants to focus on getting healthy, and he wants to focus on ball, and he wants to focus on the upcoming playoffs, whether the Sixers can do anything in the playoffs. And so we'll throw that out first of all. And I go, okay, how long have the Sixers stunk this year? It's been a long time, right? They've stunk all year. So why would he pick now to come to this enlightenment that maybe he should just focus on basketball and not worry about the podcast? So people say, well, at least he admitted that he's going to get serious. No. See, you can't buy me that way. You can't say all of a sudden now when the heat is on you to capitulate and say, well, now I'm not going to do the podcast anymore. Now I'm really going to be focused, when you should have been focused from day one of this regular season and day one of training camp, frankly. So does it do anything to me? No. Here's the thing about me, and it's a flaw. When a player turns me off, I can't get back. When the spigot turns off for me, I can't return the spigot. When things are so clear to me that this guy came in and had no interest in playing this season at a high level, you lose me. And I don't care what you do now. And I'm be honest, I'm the same way with Joel Embiid. I'm sorry. I know maybe it would be unfair. They're injured, blah, blah, blah. I am completely turned off to these two men who play for the Philadelphia 76ers, who were majorly responsible for blowing up this season. So on that note, we're going to move over to Bill and Ray because I want to hear both their opinions on this. And then we have a variety of topics that I want to hit, including the report card for the Philadelphia Eagles and kind of a qualifier on that report card. We were astonished yesterday that the numbers came out so low, that their own players graded them so low. But first of all, Bill, good morning. How you doing?
What's going on, Michael? I'd be doing better if I took your advice last night and bet the Pistons and the Sixers.
Pistons with an outright last night. You know me, I don't like to pat myself on the back, but, you know, of all the Mikey Mushes I take all the time, oh, you're Mikey Mush, I never get a compliment when I give you an outright, and I gave you an outright last night, and I also said the Sixers were a good bet. But that's all right, Bill. Let's move on to the topic.
Yeah, you got excited as soon as we gave the line on the Pistons. Yeah. But, yeah, the whole podcast P thing with Paul George is I saw this yesterday after the show with him coming out. And I know there's a lot of players that have podcasts in all four major sports. And we keep hearing that it's not a distraction and you can't expect these guys to just be involved in their sport 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I understand that. But for Paul George to come out when the team is 20-37 with the season that they've had and say, now I'm going to take a break from the podcast because I want to focus on my physical health and a championship and all that. So is he acknowledging that it was a distraction? See, that's the problem I have with it. So are you acknowledging that to start the season, that this podcast has been a distraction? Because once you say this, well, clearly, if you're stopping it, you feel that it has not helped you be better at basketball. So that's where I have the problem. I don't have a problem normally with these guys having these podcasts, but with him now acknowledging it, that's where it becomes an issue. Has this been impacting you? Has this been affecting you? And he did play better last night, Mike, especially in the second half. He had a really good second half in terms of scoring. He was shooting a lot better. Did have 5 turnovers, which I didn't like. Jalen Brunson did break his ankles on one crossover, which was ridiculous. But Brunson's pretty damn good. I don't know, man. It rubbed me the wrong way. As soon as I saw it, I texted it to you and Ray. Said, are you kidding me? Now he's taking the break?
It doesn't matter what he does now. I'll be honest with you. He has shown an unwillingness to perform at a high level for this team when they needed him to perform at a high level. So let's go to Ray. Ray, I want to be fair because I want to pass this around because maybe my opinion is not valid. Ray, what he did, is that okay in your mind?
No, it's comical. It's comical. Like, you get to this point, and it's like, this week is when he decides to say, you know what? We don't represent a championship contender. We don't represent a team that's fighting to get into the playoffs and actually make some noise. And after that, on the heels of that, I'm going to say, you know what? I should take a break from my podcast, because that is going to show that I am determined to get this team to the postseason and play for a championship. Now's the time. This is where you hit the big red panic button, say Podcast P's got to go by the wayside because I got to lock in. Is that really what he's going to think we all believe is the distraction? That Podcast P was the thing that was holding him back this entire time? I've watched him out on the court. I talk on a mic for, 4 hours a day with you guys? Mm-hmm. I don't think I find myself totally mentally exhausted and drained to the point where I can't play basketball. He does a 1-hour podcast. That's the difference in his game right now? He's a 34-year-old player who has not been healthy all season. It's the fact that he's been talking to other NBA players that's held this team back the whole season. Give me a break.
It's a fake capitulation. To try to win some points here, because he knows now the fan base is way down on this whole thing. So now he's going to go, okay, I'm going to give up this podcast because I think it's the right thing to do. I mean, and he's trying to win points that way. But like I say, he lost me. This is more about me than anything. I have a sickness of bailing out on you can never get me back. Like, well, once I see a certain thing, you can never get me back. You can never win me back over.
I don't think that's just you. I mean, I think a lot of Philadelphia fans are like that as well. Once we turn on somebody for valid reasons, it's very hard to win them back. But Ray's right. I mean, this was just comical, man. I mean, this is comical.
Let's hear it. Let's hear from him. Let's hear from Podcast P, all right, Podcast DMP as we call him here, about his decision.
Fellas, it's no secret this season is up to this point, man. It hasn't been what we envisioned. I know my goal when I first signed with Philadelphia was to bring a championship to these amazing fans here. I still remain positive about that, and that is still the case and where I'm coming from. With that being said, though, I want to let the Podcast P family know that after today's episode with Dwight, I plan to take a break from the pod just to focus on getting my body right, getting mentally right, and, help this squad make a push towards our goal to finish the season out, give ourselves a chance to be in contentions to compete for a championship.
So in other words, there's nothing positive I could talk about in this podcast, so I might as well bail out. And when I bail out, I can thank the amazing fans here and the Podcast P family and get my body right and get mentally right to do all this stuff. It is laughable, Ray. You're absolutely right. It's a laugh factor.
I'll be honest. When it was sent by Bill yesterday to the two of us, I immediately went all over Twitter to make sure that it wasn't an AI recording of Podcast P where someone was just dubbing his voice over him because they thought it'd be a funny bit.
Like it was NBA Central.
It almost doesn't feel real. I still don't believe that. Like, I just played that clip for you. I've seen it now a million times. I still don't believe that this is actually a real thing that came out of his mouth, and he has the lack of awareness to say this at this point in the season and think that this is a good thing.
Yeah, again, players are oblivious for the most part as what's going to resonate. Now, maybe this does resonate with fans. I don't know. Maybe it does. We got a text board open. We've got our chat board going on. Maybe it's like, well, yeah, he's a stand-up guy for doing that. I don't see it that way because you've had several months really to try to do something with this team to try to pick them up, and you haven't done anything. Frankly, if you can sit there and look at yourself in the mirror and say that you've played your best and that you have been invested in this season. You play like a man. Your body language is terrible. You don't play like I can see if I'm a star player and I had this notion and I was joining a really exciting team and it hasn't worked out for many reasons. The main reason being the Embiid situation that you would get beaten down. But that doesn't mean that you don't have a responsibility. Well, what you're getting paid and for the money and the extension you got from this organization, what your responsibility would be to try to make up for what's lacking with this team. And you have to play like beyond your means almost. That's your responsibility. The fact that he hasn't done that, the fact that he's going the other way with it, I got no time for him.
It's hard to argue with that.
610-632-0975. We've got a lot of things to talk about today. Podcast P, we've got the survey says, not Family Feud. That's the survey taken with Eagle players about the state of their organization. We'll go over some of those grades again. More tush-push feedback. Boy, people wanted a piece of me yesterday. you can take a piece of me today as well with my tush-push stand, where I think you can get rid of it. It's not a football play. I've always said that, even though it benefits the Eagles. And also, a discussion on robo-umpires today.
I'm looking forward to this conversation.
And I like it. And the fact of the matter is, I want the main umpire out of there. I don't like the challenge system. I like the robo-umpire, what the lines determine in the strike zone. We'll talk about all of that. If you want to get in on a text board, it's 610-632-0975. Unfortunately, right now, we can't take your phone call because our system is down. But plenty of feedback happening on the Mike Missanelli Show. We're back after this.
Hey, everybody, it's Bill Colarulo. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel so you can engage during the show, and you're not going to want to miss all the content that we post. It's not only the live videos. It's videos after the fact. It's our shorts. It's all the content you want as a Philadelphia sports fan. Looking forward to connecting.